Well, friends, are you suffering from garden burnout? It's very real, and I know people across the country who have endured some major heat waves. It's really been a contentious year in the garden. So let's talk about a few things that we can do to maybe overcome it, get through it, whatever. So come on along and let's talk about this. So it's not unusual to feel overwhelmed at this late date of the summer because you're trying to keep your garden maintained during the high heat. But you know what? It's not the end of the world if your garden looks a little messy. If you just set back or set aside those chores until it cools down a bit. You're not out there enjoying your garden anyways. So if things need deadheading, I know my garden things need deadheading. If some plants are going over, if some pathways are not weeded, all of that, it's fine. It's not the end of the world if you don't get to it right now. I know many people are getting their kids ready to go back to school. I know school here, it's tomorrow. It starts again tomorrow, so that's a deal if you have kids. Or if you're just tired of it, just because it takes so much energy right now. So take a break. Take a break. Sit back, enjoy the last days of summer with a book. Have you read this summer? I haven't read anything. I love to read. My painting classes, my painting blog, I haven't touched it in 6 months, I think. And I really would like to. I'd like to get back to doing my painting tutorials and or just paint. I'm taking some painting courses as well for myself. Get back into that. The garden has taken so much. My doing the videos for the garden has taken so much of my time that those things got shoved aside. Well, for the hottest part of the summer, I couldn't really paint because my studio does not have, which is Primrose Cottage, does not have air conditioning, and it was too hot in there, which normally doesn't happen that way. We don't get the kind of heat we had this year. But yeah, so that just said, okay, well, I'll spend my time in the garden. And I did. But I had to think back in prior years when I worked outside of the home. And how did I maintain my garden? I had the same gardens, most of them. And what was the difference? That I worked full time and maintained my garden. And you know what it was? It was whatever self-seeded itself. I had roses too. Whatever was tough, lived with neglect, all of those things, the pathways, they'd get a little overgrown with weeds. I would just take a weed eater or string trimmer, it's called, and just weed them down with that and call it good. Even weeds, whacked down, mowed down, look fine. And then I would re-mulch it, and then they were just covered up for the time being. They may grow through later if it was thick enough. And now I'm using a little trick, and I'll share it with you when I give you an update on the Primrose Cottage garden I just started. I'll show you some things I do for that, for clearing up a pathway. It's really super easy, and the main ingredient is free, so that's all good. It takes a little bit of effort to get it, but it works. It works just fine. But I just wanted you to sit back and relax and not stress over it. I wouldn't, if you've got your watering system set up, like most of my plants are now on drip or an irrigation system, so it's a matter of me turning it on and turning it off. I would like to get a timer on it, but that's all well and good. But just take a break. Like for me, this week I will be overwhelmed, and it's only because we're getting ready to go on a week-long vacation for our anniversary, and I want to make sure everything is either in the ground that I have in pots and containers that were meant to go in the ground, not my container gardens. But that way I don't have to worry about my house sitter having a harder time keeping things watered. and all of that. If something dies, it is not the end of the world. I would be disappointed, but it's okay. You know, I usually shop for bargains anyways. I grow from seed, so everything's relatively inexpensive. So replacing something is just something I would have to do. I said it in prior videos, I don't want to be a slave to my garden. Not at all. If I'm looking aside, I'm looking at my garden. The plants are blowing in the breeze, and it's really, really beautiful this time of year. I know some people say it's distracting to them for me to be looking away from the camera, but all I see is a red dot on the camera, and over there are plants. Forgive me. So just savor your late blooming plants. What do I have? Oh, my phlox, my garden phlox are just doing beautifully. I look forward to them every year. The rudbeckias, my artist garden with the zinnias, the salvias, the verbena bonariensis. My roses are still doing beautiful. I am putting in more roses. I have more roses coming in. So Rose Alley and the Rose Cottage Garden are going to be even filled with more roses next summer, spring and summer, and I'm looking forward to that. I got in some new iris from Sutton's Iris Garden, and I have some on sale, on order from Shriners. So I've got those put in, and I'm looking forward to next spring with those. My tomatoes aren't doing that great. I'm surprised because we did have, usually I would say it's the lack of heat we have here. This year we had plenty of heat, so I'm not sure. But that's what I'm saying. Look at the things that are doing well in your garden. My petunias are doing great. My super petunias, those ones did get budworm, and I treated with that. So one of them I've already pruned back hard. I'll prune back the other container filled with them and give them a good feed, and they should bloom some more. We've got plenty of warm weather left that they should rebloom well. Again, we can have a great October. I don't know what this year's going to bring. We could get our first frost the first week of October and it all be done. But many times we go into November and I can enjoy everything on through then. So I just savor what looks good. And you should too. So you could simplify your routine. Just make it where you go out for 10 minutes at a time. If it's cool in the morning, just take a garden walk. Don't focus on what's not done. Focus on what's beautiful. Cut yourself a bouquet from your flowers, bringing them into the home. Deadhead a few things. Just enjoy the peace and quiet. The birds, I love the birds in my garden in the morning. Just watch them. Just let go. Let go of perfection. I often tell you that, and I really mean it. It's those that they want everything neat as a pin, picture perfect, whatever. Gardens are never going to be that way. You're going to have to contend with losing plants from gophers. I think I got my gopher problem solved. All kinds of things you can look forward to. Go out with a pen and paper and think of what you would change next year. How easy can you do it? But don't stress over it. If one area isn't working, think about how you could change it. Just make it exciting again. You may want to start some seeds that you can get in the ground in the fall. I don't usually start seeds indoors this time of year. I got a big old blue jay going after the little bird seed. Anyways. Oh, don't be squawking at me, Buster. He's talking back. Sassy. Anyways, I usually direct sow, and I collected seeds, and it's going to be in my update for my Primrose Cottage Garden. I collect seeds, and I immediately throw them where I want those to grow, and I throw a ton in at once, and it's kind of encouraging, not encouraging, but invigorating for the new garden season. So you might think of that. Start direct sowing seeds for next spring. You'd be surprised at what will come up if you seed them now. Now, the reason I seed them now, like my larkspurs all went to seed. And no, you don't need anything. And it's when it's dropping seeds, and my garden is filled with larkspurs in the spring. I have to pull a lot out because they come up where I don't want them. So why wouldn't I go put seeds where I do want them right now? The same with the hollyhocks. I collected a bunch of hollyhock seeds. I put them in areas I want them. In the areas I don't want them, I will pull them up. And even if there's too many that come up in that area, since the seeds were free, I don't mind as much pulling out the extra plants in that area. And that's what I've been doing with Primrose Cottage. I've been seeding it from seeds grown in my garden. But that kind of helps me look forward to next year. And it just takes a few minutes. It doesn't take a lot of time at all. So there probably is some dull or areas that aren't blooming right now in your late summer garden. Well, you may find on the bargain racks at local nurseries and garden centers, etc., and you can fill in with blooming plants. There's an array of plants available, and if you can, like go to the different garden centers and see what they got, see what they're clearing out. I know I used to complain about our local Lowe's not having good plants on the sale rack, and I finally discovered it's a matter of being there consistently, if you can, to find good bargains. Now I have 2 Lowe's each direction from me across the rivers, and they are about an hour apart from me, or an hour away from me. And so if I make a trip there or in that area, I make sure to stop by and just check. Local garden centers, I know that one of my favorite nurseries is a family-run nursery, and they'll have great sales on different things. Now, this is also a great time to pick up perennials that may not look very good, but you know that all they need is some TLC, and you plop them in the ground and they're going to be great for next year. So sometimes doing something like that can help bring some more enthusiasm for your garden, reinvigorate it. Also, switch to containers. Surround your area, your deck, whatever, with fresh blooming containers, and enjoy that. Now, with the nights being, or the days being shorter, the nights can be a little bit cooler, especially here. And like my back deck, I need to finish up all the little projects back here that I wanted to do, and then just enjoy being out in the evening. Maybe take that time to read a book, or sit outside with your iPad and watch a movie or YouTube or whatever. You never know how that will play out, or how that will just relaxing. Sometimes you just need to slow down. So what if you got a lot of garden tidying up to do? Do it in small bites. If you're really not in the mood, but you need to get it done, take what I would do, 3 foot by 3 foot area, and choose that in one day. Tackle it. And then the next day, do a different 3 by 3 foot area. Or heck, the next week. Like I said, it's not going to be the end of the world if a few weeds creep in. It's amazing too, and I'll do a whole nother video on this, that what the weeds can tell you about your garden, what your soil may or may not need, what it has in it, etc. Because weeds are a good indicator of soil health. So that's something I've really been doing. I listened to a podcast a couple months ago, and it really intrigued me, and I've been doing a little bit more research on it, and it's just a really interesting topic that I hope to share soon. Now, I will say this. I may really slow down in doing videos. I may be down to like 1 a week, because I know this new job is going to take a lot of concentration. And to step away from the work, I may want to go paint instead of doing a video. I may want to do something else. I may want to travel more. So we'll see how that plays out, guys. I love doing these videos. I love chatting with you, etc., and getting the feedback that I get. But the reality is they take a lot of time. I still have my blog as well, flowerpatchfarmhouse.com, that I work on here and there. And that's where I started. I started doing these YouTube videos to supplement my blog. And I was trying to do videos that went with, like I had a blog post, how to grow hollyhocks. Well, then I did a video. on how to grow hollyhocks, but it was a couple years later. Just because I don't know, it just was something that transpired. Like I said, started out as a blogger and then just now incorporated more video into that. And you know what, coming up, I will probably I think I'll write it down. So I'll try to remember. I got to write things down anymore. Do a video on my favorite video YouTubers, garden YouTubers, where I really glean a lot of information, educational information. It's not just somebody promoting something. It's just really good information that I think you will find helpful as well. You know I don't do this enough, and that is simply sit in your garden, relax, and take it all in. I know the best times for me to do that is in the evenings or in the early mornings. And that's usually the neighborhood is quiet. I live in a residential neighborhood that can be quite noisy during the day. School's going to start, so we'll hear the children playing at recess. We'll hear the bells ring for going in and out of the recess. That is actually a nice sound. It's a comforting sound, but it is a noise. And in the early morning and in the late evening, the neighborhood just kind of settles down and it's so quiet. And the birds are pecking away on the ground. The hummingbirds are jousting. I've got right now the rufous hummingbirds. They migrate through here. They are tiny compared to the anise, but they are so aggressive. So you'll see the anise and the rufous jousting. You'll see two rufous hummingbirds jousting. You will see fighting over the feeders, and it's just entertaining. The other day I was out watering early morning, and I kept hearing a hummingbird near me, and I turned around and looked, and he was snipping at the gnats in the air, and he was catching them, and it was just fun to watch him do that. He's pretty quick, and he caught a lot. Yeah, so they're good bad bug catchers. Anyways, hummingbirds. So they don't not only come to sip on nectar, they come to eat bugs in your garden, which is a good thing. And you know what? If you've got kiddos, if you've got nephews, grandkids, or just friends, don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, I worked along with a friend in her garden. She's elderly. And it was just so fun to work together in the garden, chat about it, discuss different gardening things or whatever, life. And it made the task go so much faster, and we got so much done in that amount of time. So have a gardening date and invite friends over. If you need to, ask your husband now to help you, even if he may not be a gardening enthusiast. Just be careful. I gave up on asking my husband to help me unless it's like chores, building things. Yeah, he was helping me weed, and he gets going, and plants were flying, and I could see he was getting near a plant that was precious. And I said, "Wait, don't touch the clematis." And now, as I said it, he yanked it up, and it went flying over my head into the wheelbarrow, because it didn't look alive. It was at that time of year where it just looks like a dead vine. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have him help me unless I give distinct directions or something, good guidance. But that is an option, to ask for help in doing things. Now, like I said before, I think I said this before, when I worked outside of the home, I just weed whacked weeds. I didn't sit there and pull each individual weed. I would weed them down to the ground, cover them with thick mulch, and be done. There's no rule against that. The thick mulch will inhibit a lot of weeds from coming back. So don't think you have to get in there and just pull and pull and pull if that's not your deal. Make it as easy as you can on yourself and be happy with it. Let go of perfection. That is my motto. I will repeat it because so many people get caught up in that trap of wanting it. And that's only going to frustrate you in the long run. So, alrighty, I'm looking down at my notes. Let's see, take breaks, pace yourself. Yeah, just make it easy. So yeah, this is well, this is the middle of August. So when the kids go back to school, I guess, it does. It's like a trigger. Start thinking fall. Or people are really got a hankering for the milder weather that they experience in fall. And, I was just looking right here next door on my neighbor's dogwood tree. A lot of times it will start turning red in August. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 I'm not ready for fall. But there's not a red leaf on it. So we're good to go. Anyways, so I hope this little chat was helpful. I know I ramble, but that's okay. I want you to enjoy your garden. Don't be a slave to your garden. Just make it a respite. If things get a little untidy, don't worry about it. Enjoy what you love about gardening. And if you need to take a break, take a break. It's not the end of the world. And you know what? When you're refreshed, you'll have fresh ideas. And watch maybe some inspirational shows. There's a show on British television, and it's called Garden Rescue. And it's had several seasons. It goes back, I don't know, 10 years? I'm not sure. But it's like I said, it's British. And these two garden designers would vie for the contract, so to speak, of homeowners. They have very small gardens. And they would design a garden for them. That each would make a design. The homeowners would pick which design, and then they would put that design in. It's amazing what you can do with a small space. And they all had kind of themes or things they wanted, things they didn't want. And they turned them into truly inspirational spaces. And if you have a very small garden, it might be something you want to watch to get some really good ideas from. Now, they don't have it on BritBox or Acorn TV. I was watching it on Inside Outside TV, but I don't know if it's still on there or how many seasons. Now there's another website, hdclump.com. If you go on there and you do a search for it, you will find it. It's hard to get the seasons in order, but if you dink around with it, you'll find out how to do it. But I think that's where I watched most recently that program and really, really enjoyed it and really got some great ideas. And sometimes when you get started, like I do, in a garden, you have so many ideas that you just start going every direction instead of staying focused. And I have a tendency to test out a lot of plants, and then I really need to edit and make it come together so that it's more relaxing rather than crazy looking. And so that's my goal. I'm making notes this year of what I want to change, where I want to move the plants to, try to avoid too many new plants. Now, there are a few new plants I want. I want totally tangerine geum because I think that would be beautiful in my artist garden. Right now, most of the plants don't bloom until later in the summer. I want earlier blooms. Now the one short salvia blooms early, but I wanted some orange because my zinnias that I used for the orange didn't come in to bloom until later. But the totally tangerine starts early, geum. So I thought that would be a great plant to put in there. So little ideas like that. And like you've seen where I had taken out the verbascum, it didn't work. It got too big. It was overpowering. But I did find a seedling. It seeded itself, and I already had a little seedling come up, so that's going to get moved. But things like that. Next year, because all of my cosmos got eaten by pill bugs this year. Now, people will tell you that pill bugs do not eat plants. They only eat dead matter. That's not accurate. When I noticed that the pill bugs were my problem, I went and did research on it, and that's a total misnomer. They do eat fresh plants, and they were the ones that took down. I have no earwigs. I had very few slugs. It was the pill bugs. So next year, my containers, I have some galvanized tubs that I didn't even plant this year. I'm going to seed them with the cosmos and then put those out in the garden. So usually I just seed the cosmos in the ground. They do beautifully. And this year it was total nothing. So, well, I should say I got a few coming up now, but who knows, if the bug's going to get them. So that's my plan for next year. So I try to write these things down and keep notes and do all that kind of fun stuff. And that keeps my interest. Even if I don't feel like pulling weeds, like right now, I need to get moving. I'm going to Taco Tuesday, and I'm running late because I'm doing this. But I wanted to get on here and try to let you know that it's okay if you are just done for right now in the garden. And it's not the end of the world if you just stop, take a break. You'd be surprised at how fast you are reinvigorated. And I know I'm going to be. After this crazy week of getting things ready, we're going to Bouchard Gardens up in Victoria, BC. It's going to be barely 70 degrees. I'm going to be freezing to death, but I'm going to enjoy their gardens. And I know I will come away with so much inspiration that I won't want to wait to get home and implement some of them and or take notes. I'm going to take a lot of pictures. I don't know how much video I'm going to get. I have promised myself I am just going to go and enjoy. And I want to take recordings for myself to what's inspiring me the most. And I will do like a highlights for you guys and all of that. So you stay tuned for that. But this is just something I have looked forward to doing for a long, long time, and we're finally going to do it. So I hear sirens. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so I hope to see you in my next video. Take a break, read a book, go watch some movies in the heat of the day, take a painting class. That I'm looking forward to getting back into my painting. And as things slow down, I let go of things in the garden. I know I'm going to enjoy that. I do need to revamp my website, my painting website. That's another story. But yeah, I am looking forward to getting back to painting and that kind of stuff too. So I'll see you later.